Whew, getting everything all packed up this morning. Some people are leaving out. There's Teton. This is as good a time as any to say hello, adventurers, and welcome back to my channel. I'm super excited because this morning I'm going to go over to Jackson Hole. I've got some things I want to show you guys. I'm tired. I'm super tired. But we're going to get to moving around, and in doing so, it's going to be fabulous. So let's go. I must say, I slept pretty well last night, although it did get super cold. Just for context, I went to bed last night, and it was dropping pretty quickly. By the time that the sun went down, it went from 70 in the van to 65 in the van within the span of like 10 minutes, which is pretty cold, pretty fast. Woke up this morning, it was 42 degrees inside the van. So this is why I packed for summer and winter whenever I left out of my base camp. But with that said, I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready to get on the road, and I've never been to Jackson Hole. Jackson Hole is not the most van friendly, so there's not a lot of places that you can just like hang out and camp there. So they want to make sure that they don't have a lot of people just like influxing into the community and just like taking advantage. So even a lot of the concessionaires do not live in Jackson Hole, which is wild, but there are a couple things that I do want to see there. So I thought, since I am so close, I'm gonna go check it out. Now, because it is not as tourist friendly, I don't know what parking is gonna look like. I have no idea about any of that. So today we're gonna give it a shot. And I'm really excited because although I know you can't technically van life in Jackson Hole, my version of van life is a little bit different than everybody else's because I'm more of a traveler. So I am going to van life in Jackson Hole today. Let's go. Looks like from my camping, it is about 35 minutes, and I decided I would time this closer to the lunch hour just so that I could get there and hang out and see everything open. Also, let's face it, it took a while for it to get above 40 degrees in the van, and even now in the front seat, it's only 59 degrees. So it's pretty chilly still. So I just needed some oomph in my giddy up. But 35 minutes down the road to kind of get my life together, we got this. It's gonna be fun. Then I get to figure out where exactly the big thing that I want to show you guys is today. Camping was pretty cool here. The last time I was in Teton and Yellowstone, I was looking for a campsite, and I went out to a pin on Overlander, and it was completely packed. And so I was panicking because this was very early on in my journey. I was still in my car at the time, and I was very limited on where I could camp because I was in the car and I was tent camping, so I knew I couldn't camp in some areas. So I found this really nice like security officer at one of the places that was near the campsite. They have like a little store and village area. I don't know, it's hard to explain. Anyway, he suggested this place, and it was wonderful the first time because I was tired from the day. I was kind of stressed out because the campsite didn't work out, and everything turned out okay. Sure enough, he gave me a good spot, and because of that, I was able to come out here and relax and not stress and feel a lot better and wake up the next morning and explore the parks again. So I decided I'd come back to this spot because I knew it was a good one. Unfortunately, I'm only going to be able to stay there possibly last night, maybe tonight, because they're working on the road. But I mean, look at this. This was the part that made this campground the best. So I'll cross the bridge of figuring out camping later on, but for now, Jackson, van life. My van lifestyle. My life is weird. My life is real weird. If you're wondering where this is the road. I normally don't tell this, but it's on Overlander, so it's not that big of a deal. All I ask is if you stay here, treat it nicely, because this spot was available to me way back in, I think, 2017, and it was fabulous then, and it's still fabulous now. It has a vault toilet. There's lots of camping areas. Everyone's super nice. So let's keep this place open because there's not a ton of good camping in this area. And I noticed that everyone had, for the most part, been picking up trash. So let's keep doing that. Like, look at this. It is so epic. Okay, we're starting off our trip here at Rendezvous Park, open daylight to dark. Now, you might be asking yourself, why are we starting off at a park? Well, this is a space that is pretty cool, but they also have something really, really significant here. And they only have a few of these in the United States. And one of them is right here in the Jackson area. So we're gonna take this short trail and we're gonna go over to something absolutely magical. Parking lot here is nice and big, so there's plenty of room for everybody. Now there is a map here to tell us where exactly we're going to be going, and we are currently in this area right here. So we're gonna take one of the trails to kind of meander around to this point of interest right here, and then that point of interest over there also. I didn't know exactly how big of a situation this was gonna be, so I did not bring water, but I normally have my keys out like this to make noise so that bears don't bother me. At the same time, I feel like that's just going to be a little bit much for out here, so I'm gonna put them away and then we'll get on this path. Now the thing that I want to see is over by the water, and I know that, but there's something else that kind of caught my eye up this way. And again, I know this is not everyone's version of van life, because most people are thinking in the van, but my van is my adventure vehicle. It's like my magic school bus. It takes me everywhere. I learn cool stuff. I see neat things, and whatever this is interesting. Take the little footpath now up this to whatever that is. Oh, how neat. This is interesting. I don't know what exactly it is. Okay. Then we get a nice viewpoint of the water down there. Oh, but this view is incredible. Wow. So beautiful. And then there's this. I have no idea what this is, but let's go get a little bit of a closer look. Oh, wow. I came down this side to look at the building, but then I saw this. This is beautiful. Oh, this is such an incredible place to start my morning. Despite this not being the most van-friendly city when it comes to like overnighting, there are tons of outdoor recreation things. So it is worth it to come out here and then just camp kind of outside of town. It's beautiful, and there are so many incredible like outdoor spaces for recreation. They have an extensive trail system if you like to walk, hike, or bike. And there's some other cool things here that, well, we're about to see one of them. It is so neat. With that said, I did see something that was not so great, and I like to keep it a buck on here. I like to tell you the pros and cons. Out here, I did see a Mr. No Shoulder sneaky snake a while ago. Oh, that was scary, but we're in the great outdoors. I kind of expect it. I just ran quickly away. But yeah, it's just kind of what it is. I'm currently on a trail that is a shared multi-use trail that is shared by bikes, as well as those who want to take hikes and walk. And so this is going to kind of move us around. But first, this point of interest, it is very, very interesting. And it was actually put here, I believe, in 2018, but there's a little bio, so let's check it out. You can walk inside of it, and it's a sandstone sculpture that's called Flow, and the artist's name is Thea Alvin. It says here she intentionally used dry stone masonry and sculpture from Morristown, Vermont. Now, it does mention that she puts these together by hand and that she doesn't use any kind of like mortar base or anything, but they did have to do some renovations, and in doing so, they had to add just a little bit just to make sure it was in good shape. Now, with that, kiddos cannot climb on this. It's just here for us to enjoy. And with that said, we are going to go toward the lake. As we're almost over to the lake, I thought of my song of the day. Mr. No Shoulders kind of inspired this one. Have you ever heard the song Joy and Pain by Rob Bass? That's the song of the day. Pain came from the heart attack I nearly had whenever I saw Mr. No Shoulders. Joy came from being in this beautiful place today. Joy and Pain, Rob Bass. Okay, we found what we were looking for. This is Mama Mimi from 2021. This is by Thomas Dambo, who's a Danish artist who is a recycling activist, and he led a team of workers to build this huge sculpture, and all the materials are sourced locally, which I think is really epic. Mama Mimi is the 80th addition to the larger family of trolls, and they're located all over the world, basically. And you can be a troll backer if you come by scanning this, but also you can follow all of his art with the following social tags. In order to go and see it, you have to kind of climb down the leg. Look at this, guys. This is so cool. Now you can go down. It is slightly terrifying if you're like myself and have slid down a mountain before, but this is so cool. So Mimi is here in Jackson Hole, and you can see it's just fun. You crawl kind of through, and after you crawl through, you get to this tiny little island where you can take cool pictures. You can see it from different angles. It is absolutely so popular, but also incredible. I completely understand why. I have not seen any of the other trolls. This is my first. I am going to make this a bucket list. I think this is a super cool bucket list. This is incredible. It's so incredible. They have this garland kind of wrapped around her right now. They're doing a festival to celebrate her today. They have live music. This park is beautiful, and she has the best view in the house. I mean, check this out. I'm standing on her leg currently. This is her view. Talk about an adventure path every day. But now I have to crawl down. That's the hard part. Now here's one more cool fact before we get to the van about this park. At one point in time, this was actually just a big old gravel pit, and there is a group, a nonprofit, who has turned it back into a beautiful mountain lake for people to recreate at. They put in all the trails, they do all the maintenance, and through donations, they are able to maintain this beautiful natural space, which so many families are at today recreating, and I think that's pretty awesome. Okay, now that I'm back in the van, we're going over to another place here in Jackson that is really cool. I have no idea what they have there, but I'm only assuming it'll be neat. So if it is neat enough to make its own video, it'll be the next video. If not, it'll just be in this one, as always. But we're going to the National Elk Refuge Visitor Center. They also have the National Elk Refuge just outside of Jackson, and it is expansive, and there are signs everywhere saying that there are elk crossing. And after all the wildlife that I've been seeing in this region, like, wow, this is so cool. This is why you come to this area, because you get to have an experience unlike any other place, and there are so many interesting things that you can like seek out. So gonna get over to that. Okay, we made it here. It is a bustling day in Jackson today, so it is a little crazy going through downtown. I'm not sure how well that's going to work out for van lifing in Jackson today, because realistically, if you want to spend the day here, get here early. I'm getting here a bit later in the day, so a lot of the public parking areas are very, very full. A lot of people use this as a hub city to get into Teton and then also Yellowstone, but a lot of people also come here in hopes of spotting a celebrity. There are more than a handful of celebrities who have ranches out in this area, including Pink and Harrison Ford and several others. So some people come to people watch, and you can kind of see that reflected in the various styles and fashions that you will see walking around at any given time here in Jackson, which I think is kind of interesting. But I am at this wonderful elk refuge. I'm gonna find out a little bit more. We'll see if it's a whole video or if it's just a little piece of a video. Okay, while I've been here, I've had a wonderful time. I definitely am doing another video for just this because I think that this is a wonderful resource. They do have passport stamps for your national park pass. They also have some other cool stuff that you're gonna just have to check out. I was able to get my patches, and I also witnessed something a little scary. I didn't want to put that in the other video though, because it was just an accident. A woman fell, and so that was kind of, because I have too fallen, so I understand. So I was able to help her, thank goodness. And we were able to, myself and another girl, get her an ice pack, tell the people here so they could make an incident report and take her to urgent care. It was scary. But with that said, I'm about to hit the road and see what else we can find as we van life through Jackson. I got all my books and maps and things, so I know what I'm doing. Oh, so today's been wild. I hope that lady is okay. I really do. Anytime you fall, it's not great, but like she just kind of slid and fell. And it was only a couple stairs, but at the same time, yeah. Been there, fallen, not cool. And I know that's gonna feel pretty gross tomorrow, but yeah. The center itself, absolutely amazing. So happy that I came here. And it just goes to prove that even if Jackson doesn't let you like recreate and sleep here, that doesn't mean that you can't come here and do cool stuff. There's literally camping just right down the road, so it's fine. I also learned a lot about the migration patterns of the elk, which was really neat because whenever I'm seeing them in various points, they're at different phases of their migration. But during the winter months when people are coming here to ski, there's thousands upon thousands upon thousands of them. So that is pretty neat. But it's getting warm today. Let's turn on the van and see what else we can get into. Amongst the brochures I picked up this, which is My Wyoming My. And it tells you all the different road trips that you can go on through the state. All I can say is I have already made a list of places that I'm going to go on my next trip here whenever I have a friend with me, because there's some cool stuff that I want to show to some of my friends. And that is the one downside of sometimes being solo, is the fact that like you'll see something and be like, oh my gosh, fill in the blank with name, friend would like this. And so there's several of those things, but I thought this has some cool road trips in it that kind of tell you a little bit more of the context of the history. But they also have maps of all the different stops that you should stop at along those road trips. So I thought that was pretty neat. I hadn't seen a visitor center that had this particular book in it, but if you do stop off anywhere in Wyoming and you find this, pick it up. It will help you plan some really cool stuff. And wow, the world is so big. There's no way, even with me moving as much as I do and going to as many places, that I'm going to see it all. And this is just proven yet again. I have reached a conclusion. Can you van life in Jackson? Yes, you can. However, I got some tips and I'm going to share them with you. If you want to come to Jackson and you just want to be here during the day, limited parking makes it a bit harder, especially for larger rigs. I'm in a tiny rig and I have driven around and had a struggle bus trying to find parking after noon. So realistically, if you want to come to Jackson, come early or be prepared to walk a long distance. Those are the two things. At the Elk Center where I was earlier, there's 2-hour parking posted very clearly. There are some other areas where parking is posted very clearly. They do follow that very closely here in Jackson because it is so popular. So if you're wanting to come and do van life here in Jackson, you definitely can, but make sure that you come accordingly and wake up early and come to town. It gets very crowded. There's a lot of people coming through who are doing like recreational sports in the various national parks. There are a lot of people who are just staying here and using this as like their vacation city, and it's a beautiful place, and they do all sorts of cool stuff, including live music and historic tours and things like that. And so it is absolutely wonderful, and I am going to plan to come back here with a friend, because there are at least 3 things that I found in Jackson that I want to do, but I do not want to do by myself. So with that, yes, you can. I'm starving. I was gonna go downtown somewhere and eat, but everything is super packed right now. I am here on the tail end of a weekend, and it has been a long weekend, so that explains some of it. And you'll never hear me complain. It just gives me an opportunity to come back later. And so I am going to put some food in my Road Pro and head on down the line so that I can start off looking at wonderful Grand Teton National Park. I'm going to share that in a different video with you guys because my experience is going to be unique and special to that particular time frame, and I want to commemorate that for myself so I can look back on it later on when I do come back and see how it's changed. But what's for lunch today? I am going to have a Jamaican style chicken patty from Golden Crust. I picked this up at the Dollar Tree. I figured this is a good heat and eat item. For those of you who are new here, this is the Road Pro, and I just open it up. I have these little aluminum things inside. I'll use this one. I'll put the food in it, and then I'll put the rest of these in the back for safekeeping, and then I'll turn it on and it'll just heat up while I'm driving. This thing is awesome whenever you're having busy road days, because then you don't have to worry about pulling over, cooking a whole meal. You can just have something simple, and especially for someone like myself who a lot of times neglects to eat lunch, this is a good way for me to have something. And so just gonna put this in, and it should be about 20 minutes. It's frozen, but it's not super frozen. I took it out a while ago so it could defrost just a little bit. So less than 20 minutes and I'll have a nice hot meal versus nothing. So I just gotta close it, latch it, and then pull out the cord, which I need to open the little door for. Plugged in, the light is on, so that means it is warming my food. And now it's time for me to get off to the next adventure. Don't worry guys, I'll give you a few more updates today. I definitely want to share what I get into, maybe not in its entirety in depth, but enough for you to see kind of, you know, how this day could go, where I could do two things like I did this morning and then go into the park and have plenty of time to be able to do some other things, because I think that that is the biggest thing that I can share with you guys is if you have the time, you can do so many cool things, and if you set a good, healthy parameter for yourself when it comes to the movement, whether you're super fast moving like myself or a slower mover, you can find lots of cool stuff to do. Like any one of these activities could have been a half-day activity if you wanted to take it super slowly. For me, it becomes a very prompt activity. I take fast walks. I get my steps in quickly in the morning. I go and I get my brain wrinkles and I take it all in. And realistically, I was here a little bit longer than I probably would have been because of that fall. But, you know, I got a lot ahead. I'm super excited. I'm going to try to make my way through Teton, just giving kind of an overview look. I'm not going to be doing any extensive hiking today or anything like that. I just want to go and get a good visual of the park itself because I've never really explored it, and I want to kind of get an idea as to what all is there. And then if there is something that stands out and says, ooh, do this, then I'll come back and do it with a friend. When I'm telling you get here early, this is all the people who are trying to get into town now. It is a lot, and it took me 10 minutes just to get out of the place that I was and onto this road. And as you can see, it's just going and going and going. This is when flying by the seat of your pants sometimes does not work. Did I get to do cool stuff? Yes, I did. But there is a museum downtown. There are a couple of really cool historic restaurants and stuff like that that I just did not get to see. And those antler arches that are synonymous for the live cams in Jackson, I drove right on past them and I was like, hi, cool, okay, yay. That was my view of them because literally no parking. Again though, I always find the good, and the good is that I was able to do some of the things that I wanted to do while I was here, and now I know how to proceed forward, and I get to share that with you all. So if you want to come here and you do want to visit for the day, you can. You just have to strategically do so in a way that was a bit smarter than what I did today. Okay, I turned in right as you turn to Jenny Lake. Look at this view, incredible. I needed to get some gas just to make sure I had all topped off because I don't know where I'm gonna end up today. 405 here. So more expensive than in town, but not as expensive as I have seen it at the national parks before. You pay for convenience at the park more than anything. They also have some restaurants here, outdoor spaces, they have games, they have a little store, all sorts of cool stuff. So this place is a really nice place. Again, if I had a friend with me, I'd go over here and play some cornhole over in this little section over here, but I don't have a friend with me, and I don't want to be like, ooh, let me play solo cornhole. That's not fun. Ah! Just got back to the van, having lunch with a view. This is why I like the Road Pro. This is warm, it's delightful. And I mean, the view. I mean, yeah, it's amazing, but what I just did at this view, oh my gosh, so cool. Yeah, the Teton video is gonna be really neat. I just encountered the worst kind of tourist today. I'm driving along, and as you can see, there's a whole line of people here because the bison were crossing the road. And they tell you very specifically, go slow because the bison will just walk out in front of you. And so everybody had to stop because the bison walked out. And the people behind me thought it was really cool for like 35 seconds, and then they were annoyed. So they just randomly started honking as though that would change anything. And it did not. The bison were still walking across the road. Don't be those kind of tourists. Like, why? Okay, working my way back down this road toward my camp. I'm gonna stay at the same place I did last night. And then tonight will be the last night that people can stay at this site for a short time because they're gonna come in and fix this road. I think it's only a week, but still, I am slowly meandering. It's kind of rough down here, but if this Airstream can make it, I can certainly make it. This site treated me well the first time I came. It treated me well when I came back here yesterday. And so one more night, and then I'll move on to my next set of adventures. And I cannot wait. This has been absolutely spectacular. Everything about today has been awesome. You know, I think that a lot of people could easily get discouraged by cities that are more popular, especially cities that are a bit more expensive. But there are so many cool things that you can do. And going to Grand Teton today, going to Jackson, it just brought so much joy to me. And it also gave me a lot of respect for all the nature in just a new way. So I definitely think this was worth it. But I'll be at camp in just a few minutes. I'll get everything set up. I'll figure out what I'm going to eat for dinner. And then, well, tomorrow will be a new adventure day. And I can't wait. I made it to camp. I am good to go. I have a different campsite. Before I was kind of in the middle. Now I am over here on the side, which is for tents and like vans only. So I think that we're good to go. There are not as many people here, but I think that's because tomorrow they're starting to work on the road. So I'm gonna enjoy this one last night. And remember guys, we're not here for a long time, but we are here for a good time. My good times are just gonna keep on going, me and Dimples. Till next time, bye.